High-skilled gymnastics on the rings? What's the worst that can happen? The CrossFit Games is so close, and CrossFit has been dropping more clues than the Riddler about what we can expect to see at the Games this year. We know about pigs, bikes, and Helen, and then of course we have the Venn diagram. So we know that this translates into a 5K cross-country run, an Olympic weightlifting total, and a gymnastics skill test. But what skills might we see? And why could looking at Grid League help us find the answer? So the clip of Jason Hopper that I showed to start the video, the one he posted on his Instagram, this clip, let's see it again. Well, that looked like Jason was doing a backward roll to support, just without the support. Here's an example of Eric Cardona showing us how it's done. So two questions you might be asking. Why the rings and why Grid League? Well, to answer the first, I need to go back some time ago to a conversation between Rory McKernan and Adrian Bosman.
It was an interesting decision and I loved it.
It just bugs me when it's like the whole training methodology is like be broad, be capable, right? And when you take a tool and you reduce it down to one thing, I'm just like, it just seems like such a shame. It'd be, to me, it's like, oh, well, I have a barbell, but all I do is deadlift with it. It's like, really, right. Why? Like, there's so much cool stuff you can do with a barbell. Why would you only do that?
Yes.
I feel the same way about, the double unders. That's what a rope has become to a lot of people, is just my double under machine.
I could not agree more.
Yeah, and same thing with the rings, right? It's like, well, that's my muscle up machine. That's all I do is muscle ups on that. So, okay, cool. But there's a lot more that you can do that maybe you should be.
Now, I have referenced this conversation before, but here Boz talks about the rings becoming just a muscle-up machine or just being used for one thing in CrossFit when there's so many more things you can do on the rings. Cut to semi-finals where we had a ring complex.
Final heat's underway, 47 reps from Lexi Neely. That is the score to beat here. Those 5 ring complexes, toes to ring, muscle up, and a dip. Counts as 1 rep.
Big thing here is utilizing your swing to help with the pull. I was talking to Dave Durante the other day about how he would approach this ring complex, and it's being patient and big with that swing. On the toes to ring, make sure you lay out. We don't rush the pull. A lot of times with that ruck on your back, people tend to maybe panic pull a little bit too soon, maybe over pull. Let the swing do the work. Your arms are going to get enough taxed with the ring dip, doubling up, and the burpees over the box.
So yes, in this complex they could actually break the movements up, but then they did have to wear a ruck as well, so that would have made it more difficult. And the movements were things we're quite familiar seeing athletes perform on the rings: toes to rings, ring muscle ups, and dips. But then, the other day, Paul Elias, one of Eric's teammates on the Lions, posted up a video of some of the movements that they do on the rings in grid races. Now, while I admit it's doubtful that we would see back uprise ring muscle-ups or butterfly ring muscle-ups at the CrossFit Games, a forward or backward roll to support isn't out of the question. And I have to believe that others feel the same way. Why else would an athlete like Jason Hopper be experimenting on the rings, risking injury so close to the CrossFit Games? Now, I could be way off, and it might not be ring movements that they do in Grid League that are showing up at the Games. But Grid League still does seem to be some steps ahead of CrossFit, at least with regards to gymnastic movements. For example, at the semi-finals, we saw a seated legless rope climb.
2 seated legless rope climbs. Krennikov is already through 1.
You guys are just joining us. The standards here is that you must be seated from the floor, hands below the bottom tape line. To initiate the climb, your feet must lift off the ground, and then you can start climbing. The hands must be at or above the top tape line.
So if that's what we're seeing performed at semi-finals, could it be at the next level, dare I say, the games level, that we start seeing things like an L-sit rope climb? One of these. Now, of course, all of this is just speculation and I could be way off, but we do know we are going to see more gymnastic skills at the CrossFit Games. And when we look at how Boz likes to push the programming and his comments about the rings, well, it's not crazy to think that potentially watching Grid League could help us predict future movements we see in CrossFit competition. And hey, even if that isn't the case, we can still enjoy watching it anyway. They're incredible athletes and it's a lot of fun.